I just realized my mic might have been muted this whole time. In that case, I'm not going to tell you what I did with my rock star. Hey, ideas. I just figured that out. Thank you. I had a bunch of confessions in the last minute, and I'm not going to tell nobody about none of them. But I didn't say anything important. I'm sure you could have gathered that. What we're talking about today is water wars. Not really water wars, because I'm not going to tell you the whole story. I don't really know the whole story about all the water wars. But I heard this story this week. Oh my gosh. My audio is such trash. I hope it's not bad for y'all. Okay. There's this guy. Well, I knew about this guy. There's this guy called, it's this guy on the screen. His name is Mulholland. And if you've been in LA, you've probably heard of Mulholland Drive. It's named after this guy. He's actually an Irish guy who came here a long time ago. And when he got to LA, he dug ditches for the water department. It's like the Department of DWP, LA DWP, Los Angeles Department of Water and Power or something. That's their guy. And supposedly he has like this American dream where he comes here, starts at the bottom, and ends up. Well, okay, so here's the thing. LA didn't have a lot of people. We're talking like 1900, and LA didn't have a lot of people yet. But it had this fucking guy. And he realized that there's not enough water if they're going to make the place grow. And so I think he like sets out to figure out how to make more water get to LA, because LA is technically a desert. Did you know that? I didn't actually know that. It's probably not really a desert. I should Google it. Let me look. Is Los Angeles a desert? No. Okay. Well, it's not exactly true. Okay, so Los Angeles is not a desert. Its climate is not classified as arid. It's a warm, temperate climate with a warm and dry summer. This is really starting out great. Hey, Vicky. Despite the booster propaganda echoed throughout the ages, Los Angeles is not a desert. I mean, I feel like I have an excuse. I've been propagandized. The 25 million acres of California desert may seem vast and empty. Okay, anyways, we're not going to learn about the desert right now. So this guy was like, if people are going to move here, we need water because we don't have any damn water. And I don't know what the real story is. I heard somebody tell the story and they were making it all fancy, but basically him and some other guy, I don't remember his name. They got together and decided that the best place to get water was in Inyo County, which is a couple hundred miles north of Los Angeles where they are. Because, you know what's weird is that maybe we can. Let's Google it. Can we turn salt water to drinking water? Yes. Okay, I was about to give you another fact that was going to be wrong. In some areas, salt water is being turned into fresh water for drinking. The simple hurdle that must be overcome to turn, desalination is the process for removing salt. Okay, well, I don't understand why they don't just make salt water into regular water if there's too many people in it. They got the ocean. That was probably not an option in the 1900s. So what they do is they go over to these hills. Let me show you a picture of them. These ones. This is the Sierra Nevadas. The big ones in the back are the Sierra Nevadas. The ones in the front are called the Alabama Hills. And I wish I could have found pictures for you because I've been here. This is like a little town that they film a lot of movies in. It's super cute. They filmed a lot of the Westerns out here. They have a little museum for like old Western films. I don't know. It's kind of gay, but it's also dope. Anyways, you can get some super fucking cool pictures of the Alabama Hills here. But the water here is where Mulholland, that other dude I showed you, and his buddy decided that they would get the water from for 2 reasons. First of all, for several reasons. Supposedly, the water wasn't doing any good here. Spaghetti Western, is that what they're hey, beautifully, good to see you. But supposedly, the basin, the Owens Lake, is too something, too. I don't know what the word is, but it's too much. Maybe that'd be funny if it was too salty. It just needs to get the salt out. I don't know what it is, buddy. Let's find out. Owens Lake. How do I ask if I don't know what it's called? Owens Lake problems. The internet doesn't know. I had something about the shit in the water, like the salt or I don't know. I don't know what the problem was, but supposedly when the water went into that basin, it kind of got good for nothing. The animals couldn't drink it. It wasn't good for the water or the plants or any of that shit. So that was part of their reasoning for stealing the water. So what they were going to do is take the water using this pipe. Well, they didn't have this pipe yet, but their idea was to take it using this pipe from those mountains down the mountain all the way to Southern California, 200 miles, and it was gravity fed, so it was going to cost zero electricity. And I think at some point this was supposed to create electricity. Let's find out. Let's find out if it creates electricity. Earthquakes. Oh, it sucks. It says it newly delivered water and use it to generate electricity. Oh, because they would dam up the water on its way. No, that's different. I should have brought in an expert for y'all, but all you got stuck with is me. So basically, I think it's going to produce power somehow. What happens is, I think as it comes down through oh, yeah, what am I showing you? This might be one of the power stations, or this might just be like a monitoring station. I don't know the rules about water and power, but pretty sure that was like a selling point. It was going to cost them no money to pump it, and it would generate water. And that last part probably is a lie. But look at this. It is open aqueduct all the way there. And well, not all the way there. It's a partial lie, because I showed you already that a lot of it's like this. As they bring it down the mountains. I've only ever known, well, obviously I'm not 100 years old, but like when I was a kid, I just thought this was super fucking cool. And as I got older, I was like, oh, that's kind of fucked up. Let me tell you something. So that Mulholland guy I showed you, I'll show you sad ass face again. Here he is. This is him on trial. We'll get to that. This is him on the stand. I don't think he personally was on trial, to be fair. Him and the guy, they were like, hey, there's all this water up at those pretty hills, all this snowpack from the Sierra Nevadas, that they said was like indefinite. They said that there was just a never-ending supply of water forever. And so they went to the ranchers and the farmers that had the land, and they were like, hey, your land's worth $1. I'm going to give you $7. You know, in today's money, it's different, but it's something like that. Whatever it was, they were like, okay, fine, here, buy my land or whatever. And that they didn't know was that they were actually selling their land to the city. And what the city was actually there for, not the land or the community, but to take the water rights. And so what they did was they bought the water rights here and had the water rights here. And they brought the properties in the middle and just put the tunnel across it, or their water pipe across it. And the farmers were like, what the fuck? That's not what we were thinking was going to happen. But it didn't matter. And not just it didn't matter, but what's the shitty thing that happened is eventually the banks in the valley, the Owens Valley where they took all the water, some happened, and the two guys were corrupt, and the banks closed, and the people who not only lost their water, their properties, they did have monetary like they were compensated, but then the bank got fucked, and so were they. So they literally ended up losing everything in those areas. Is kind of fucked up. This that I'm talking to you is about. So I live in Kern County. Los Angeles County is here, and Inyo County is here. So I'm right in the middle of these two counties. And so this aqueduct thing is one of those things. So Owens Lake, this is like the early 1900s that they were doing this. And still, like right now, 2023, they are putting water back into the Owens Lake because they depleted it so bad when it gets windy. All the shit that I couldn't remember was in the lake, salt or whatever, blows and gets in everybody's, I don't know, business. So they're like the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power is still trying to put water into Owens Lake as part of their, like, I'm fucking sorry, it's part of the reparations. I don't know if that's what they call it. Hey, Div, Daniel, Dark, Dove, Vicky, beautifully, and First. Hey, guys. Hey, First. Daniel, I didn't know you were here. Good to see you. 2 Dubs. Good to see you. I'm telling a really interesting story that I'm only getting about a quarter of the way right. But the gist, once we're done, the gist, you'll know the gist, and that's going to be good enough. Okay, so this dude that you're seeing, Mulholland, stole the water with his friend called Easton. That doesn't sound right. I could look it up, but I'm not gonna. He stole the water using this little pathway, this aqueduct system, in like the early 1900s. And the people from there, they weren't stoked. Look what they did. Waste gates tampered with by farmers of the valley. Now, if you go to the Alabama Hills, those ones from that picture, there's a really dope, like visitor center, I think it is. It's either a visitor center or a museum, but there's a bathroom there for sure. And outside, there's all these different pictures of the hills when they started, or all the different movies that they filmed, and the lore about how the farmers TNT'd the shit out of the aqueduct because they were like, fuck y'all. And actually, man, I wish I remember this part. Something about the people from this town of, it's like Lone Pine. I'm pretty sure it could be, I don't know exactly know the right town, but it's pretty close. They decided that they were, oh, look, it says right there. Scene of new something near Lone Pine over the California aqueduct. So the people eventually opened up the waters and told Los Angeles they go fuck themselves, that they're going to war over it. And they were calling it the California Civil War. I don't think we won that, but we tried. Or they tried, but actually they were broke. You know what I think happened? I think the banks got fucked at the same time that they were trying to win this, and you got to eat. Oh, Vicky, next time we talk, I got a story for you. Ooh, interesting. Okay. So those people are blowing up the aqueduct because they're super pissed. Eventually they'll stop. I mean, there's still, like I said, they're still filling up the aqueduct. There's still a lot of, I don't know, issue, I think, with the aqueduct and the two counties, but either way. So this guy, Mulholland, this guy, he was like, okay, so they turn on, let me show you this video. There's a video somewhere, I have it, I know I do, of them turning on the faucet. Where's the video? Not that one. There's actual footage. Okay, let's watch them build it. Let's watch them build it for a second. Play. Hold on. I haven't even told you this story yet. Let me get to this story. They're about to build a dam. Hold on. I got distracted by my own tab. Oh, this is going well. Okay. Hold on. Let me back to this. So they make this thing. Eventually, actually, Los Angeles starts running out of water in like 10 years instead of however many years, 150 at least. Turns out, I don't know this to be true. I heard this as a snippet. Someone said that Mulholland, that they were wasting as much as 85% of this water when the times were good because they just had too much of it. Supposedly, the conspiracy theory is here that they were doing that. They were wasting the water so that they would require the dam. Because eventually they're going to make a reservoir called, I don't know what they call it, St. Francis Reservoir. I made that part up because it's called St. Francis Dam. I don't know what the reservoir is called. But it's eventually going to store like 12 billion gallons of water. So they need to store the water because when the droughts come, they still don't have enough water, regardless of snowpack in the Sierra Nevadas, where they're stealing all our water. And that's how I'm going to say it. They're definitely stealing all the water. I don't give a fuck if they had a deal. It's thievery. Okay, so they start making. They get. What did they do? So Mulholland is like been in charge since the days of building the tubes with the water, stealing the water. So by the time this dam project comes around, it's been like, I don't know how many years, 10 years or some shit. Yeah, 10 years because they ran out of water in like 10 years. He is no longer just a ditch digger. He's like the boss. And he ends up being the chief engineer to build the dam to store the water so that the residents. So what happened was they had a reservoir somewhere else and they needed one on this side of the fault. So what they did was they found the perfect spot where they could make the water comes down perfectly and they could just fill it up and it would have enough water to sustain the million residents that didn't live in LA yet. There was only like, I don't know, not that many, 50,000 in people in Los Angeles at the time. Probably not even that many. Maybe by then there are. This is like the 20s. I think they start building the dam in 1924 and they finish it in 1926. And I could be wrong, but I'm writing history tonight, so that's the number. Reservoir is such a dope word, like moist. Isn't California in a drought now? Couldn't they just use some water from the ocean? Stupid question, I know, but also me. That's what I said, Daniel. I'm with you. First of all, I Googled this earlier and it said you can totally desalinate the ocean. So why they had to steal our pristine snow water? Just because they're dicks. LA's always been dicks. Okay, but they built a dam. I'm going to show you a video of them building the dam. I know I tried to pre-show you this, but it's going to make more sense now. They're building this dam because they stole all our water and they need a place to put it. Can you guys hear this? It's my kind of music. That guy was not helping, I don't think. That thing was walking him. Let's go back and watch it. Yeah, this fucking guy. Okay. First of all, can you even imagine that's how they got their supplies around? It didn't even dawn on me. Look that. Is today Veterans Day? Happy Veterans Day? When is Veterans Day? Let's ask the internet. You think I'd know that? When is Veterans Day? November 11th? Oh, it's tomorrow? Oh, no. 2 more days. Got it. 11/11. Oh, that's the day of the meteor shower. Kind of tomorrow, but also it's the day after that. Okay, back to this. So they're building a dam. men's work to the martial, or does that say, yeah, music of hammer blows, the shriek of steam whistles, work that would reclaim the wasteland. Wasteland? What? That's not the point. Okay. So that's what the dam looked like when it was done. It was 600 feet across from here to here. Some people say 7, but most of the places I saw said 600, so we're going with that. It was 205 feet tall, even though it was only originally supposed to be 185 feet. In the original design, first of all, this isn't a bridge. This dam was designed by that Mulholland asshole. I don't mean to call him an asshole, but he is. And he educated himself. Now, maybe that was really common then, but as we get into this story, you're going to realize why it was a bad idea to use him as your chief engineer. He probably should have had a boss. This is the dam in the year 1928, March. This is March, probably like March 11th. And Mr. Mulholland came out to inspect the dam this day because the guy who was like the dam guy, him and his family lived at the dam because he was the dam guy. And he's like, there's cracks. Now, there had already been cracks. Okay, here's the thing. They started filling up the dam in 1926. By 1928, they were raising the levels because they were trying to get it to be max capacity. So as they're raising the levels, the guy who lives at the dam with his family is like, some shit is making noise. It is cracking and stuff. They had already fixed 4 cracks in the dam over those last 2 years. But this is the first time this is the first time the dam will get to capacity. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Okay, so it is 600 feet long, 205 feet tall. At the base, it's like 170 feet thick. And at the top, it's like only 16 feet thick. So it's like a shoe. And they actually call the front of it a toe and the back of it a heel. They probably do that in like architecture. I don't know the rules, but that space was really big. This is a gravity dam. But technically, we'll find out later. I'm a spoiler alert, but technically, because this dam fails almost immediately in structurally wise, because what happened was this guy was an idiot and he didn't account for uplift. So when they sunk these giant like concrete things, boulders, not boulders, but slabs into the ground, into the water. Once they were in the water, they became like way lighter. So they only weighed like a third of their weight once they were down there, and they didn't account for that. So it became a different type of bridge. I forget what it was called already. Something like, why do I keep fucking calling it a bridge? Because I'm looking at it, look like a bridge. It was a different kind of dam. It was not a gravity dam anymore. It was called something else. Either way, as they fill it, so it's fine that it's no longer whatever, because it's fine that it's no longer a gravity dam. It's really not fine, but it's kind of structurally, it's going to be okay because they're not filling it that high. But when they do start to fill it, let me show you a photograph, because and this one's kind of an okay one. Okay. Oh, buoyancy. This is the concrete blocks thing that I was telling you about. But this, an arching dam. Okay, so as the water gets higher, the stress the dam being tall and skinny, taller than it needed to be by almost 20 feet, is not taking the pressure very well. So it's already failed at being a gravity dam. I think that's the right word. It's already failed at that. If they hadn't raised the water, it wouldn't have failed so drastically here at the end, even though it probably would have failed anyways. Because they didn't account for this buoyancy factor in the submerged weight of these concrete blocks, their safety rating was actually 1. That's what this is showing us here. That they thought that everything they did was on a factor of like 3 or 4 safety-wise, and when they recalculated it all said and done, it was a 1. This is a super, super unsafe bridge because Mr. Mulholland's a fucking water thief. And that's okay, that's actually nothing to do with it, but he's gonna inspect this dam. He goes out on this day and he's like, hey, the guy who lives there with his family, he's like, it sprung a leak, dudes. And Mr. Mulholland comes out. He comes from the Hoover Dam project to inspect this one. It's not called the Hoover Dam yet, though. It's called something else. But that's where they're trying to, you guys know what the Hoover Dam is. It's Colorado River stuff. But he comes over from that project and he's like, everything looks fine. And then he goes to dinner, and at like midnight, actually, frustratingly enough, every single article says at 11:58 and 30 seconds. I'm like, you motherfuckers. Why? I guess because they want you to know that it was the day before that the dam actually broke. This is like the end of the world. I always had this question, like, if the world ends right now, Australia's history books are going to say tomorrow, but ours are going to say today. I know it's not going to matter, but imagine like in like 1,000 years, the kids in their stupid history classes have to read on March 12th or 13th, 2023 or some shits. The world, it's just frustrating to me. I hated it. I hated reading the exact time that this happened, but I think maybe it matters. It matters because it happened at midnight, but I don't know that it matters. It happened 2.5 minutes before midnight. But anyway, the dam starts to fail. And it initially just, water just breaks out of like a piece of it. And so the dude who lives there, his wife takes their kids up the hill. And I think they try to warn people. I think he tries to warn people. There's a camp, the electricity camp. I wonder if I have a photo of it. There's a camp downstream. It's like a mile downstream, and they heard it too. I don't know if, I'm pretty sure that most of them died. This is where the dam is. Give or take 7.5 miles. What is this? Okay, so they're 7 miles up the hill. I don't know if you guys are familiar with California, but this area where this dam was and where it broke it's 6 miles north of Six Flags Magic Mountain. So Oxnard, Ventura, Thousand Oaks, Simi Valley, that's all right here. Point Magoo, if you guys have people, the Department of Defense, that's this. And so the water breaks here at midnight. It rushes down, it takes 5.5 hours. It gets to the Pacific Ocean around 5:30 in the morning after killing 400 people. Now, here's the thing. It probably killed more than 400 people because a couple things. There are a lot of migrant workers here at the time, and the only way they have a list of the casualties from this is if you filed a claim. Well, you couldn't file a claim if you were a dead guy. So a lot of these people, if their whole family was washed away or killed, there was no claim for them. I did see stories that like as late as 1990, they still were finding bodies. And that they found a body as far away as San Diego, which from this is like another 200 miles. I think at least. Maybe it's only like another 100 as the crow flies. I don't really know. A couple 100 miles, maybe. Hey, Frog. Bree, no way. Miss Bridget Buckley is here. It's so good to see you. Hey. I haven't seen you in forever. I was just thinking about you. I don't Discord anymore, so I don't get to see you. I'm gonna find you. Do you Twitter? Tell me your Twitter. I'm so happy to see you. Okay, so that's the flood path. It killed four. Can you believe it killed 400 people? They say that this is the second largest loss of life in California behind the San Francisco earthquakes and fires. And that I had Googled it. It killed 3,000 people. That's a shitload of people. But still, 400 people. Okay, so what happened was in 2014, a girl from UCI, I think, I actually don't remember, a college student from Southern California was doing her thesis on the dam. And instead of doing it on like the failure of the dam or the water theftery related to the dam, she did it on the victims. And so she was able to identify, I think, 411 actual people that, so they would have names, which I think is really fucking cool, and stories. And it's actually really interesting. Let me show you a video. This video is the night that it happened, and they're searching for people. What are you guys talking about eating? We like it smoked with barbecue sauce. Thankfully, I made it out alive, Squabble. Hey, Squabble. Yeah, I wasn't actually born yet. Isn't this video cool? I just sat here and watched this for a long time yesterday. It's kind of like they don't find any bodies. Spoiler alert. It's 5 minutes of just this. I actually can't tell if I'm sharing this. Oh, I am. Oh, I'm way bigger than I thought I was. Let's make me smaller. Something. How do I? Okay. Okay. Look at this. This is a dance hall, actually. Hopalong. And it's called Hapalan. Hopalong. Hopalong? I thought it was Hop-A-Long. I've been saying it wrong. Hopalong. Anyways, this is creepy, huh? Here's someone else's grave. It says, Van Wallace Duke, son of Maxine and J.R. Duke, born February 2nd, 1909, died March 13th, 1928. How soon fades the tender flower, but love's remembrance lasts forever. Died in St. Francis Dam Break, California. I could have zoomed in, and that would have been easier. I'm obsessed with graves and cemetery. I'm not obsessed, but I love these. I just think it's so fucking cool. I don't understand this part of it, like, because God took a link out of their chain, but the middle link, that's pretty fucked up, God. Sorry about that, Maxine and JR. It's just depressing. I mean, people gotta die so LA could have their water. Where do you live? Are you in LA? Do you feel guilty? First one shot? That's what you get. You want to see depressing? Hold on. Hold my caffeine. These are people getting hauled out of their cars, dead people going into the morgue from that. The film does. This is cool because obviously you're going to see some of the flood problem. So it turns out that Mulholland guy. Wait, look at this. This is aftermath from the canyon. The one piece. There's a good picture of it. I must not have it. There's one piece of the dam still standing. And what they say about this piece is that right before the dam broke, it raised up 18 inches and then came back down to rest within half a foot of where it originally was. And in that moment, there was a loud explosion and it broke. And see these stairs? Ooh, that's a super zoom. These stairs here onto the side, the whole thing looked like this. Eventually, in like the, I don't know, 50 years later or more, they had to come and dynamite the rest of this because a boy fell off of here. 16-year-old boy died. Is that a person down there? Holy shit, it is. Damn, that's scary. That's like 200 feet though, so. When this dam broke, it sent, I think it was like 12 billion gallons of water, 180-foot wall of water for 50 miles. I don't think it took long to drain. I don't think it took very long for this to drain. But Mr. Mulholland, that guy, the water thief, him, he ends up going on the stand for this and basically saying if human error is to blame, I'm the human. On a second, something's happening in my ear. Did you hear this?
Know that when Los Angeles
started going off in my ear
by rail, the tracks came together?
Fuck. Not today. Okay, sorry about that. That was interesting. I feel if a dam breaks, we shouldn't call it a dam anymore. What do we want to call it? I got nothing on that. Okay, so this guy, they say that this day when he went to take credit for what happened, take responsibility, that this was the first day that they pulled an infant out of the wreckage, debris. A hole. Okay, you can call it that. So the problem is a couple of things. Not the problem is this guy is going to end up resigning because they want to save the Hoover Dam project. I told you that he came over from the Hoover Dam project to this one, which was way bigger than the Aqueduct St. Francis Dam project. It was way bigger. So they needed to blame a person and not a dam because they need, obviously. And so he takes credit. He ends up resigning within the year, moves away. He dies I think he died in 35. So he dies like 7 years later. They said he was really sad when he died. I guess. He was probably really happy when he was stealing all our water, though. Anyways, he's dead. The other guy died. The guy who stole the water with, I never knew his name, Freon or whatever, he died a year before him. So technically, these guys don't even live another 10 years after this tragedy. But the Hoover Dam does get built. You don't want to see these things. Here's the thing. Turns out that that wasn't necessarily Mr. Mulholland's fault that the dam broke. He chose a place that he couldn't have known was the site of an ancient landslide. They call it there's a name for it. Let's see if they say it. They just use the regular word ancient. But what had happened was, who knows how long ago before this, there was a natural landslide that created a dam here. And then after however many years, the creek breached that natural dam and made the canyon again in that area. So they didn't know what they were actually building on their solid ground shits was actually just remnants of an old landslide. And when they put the weight of the dam in that area again. Let me show you a photo. Oh, I don't have it. Let me see. Okay, so this is the dam before. It died in March, so this is right before it died. So it's 600 feet across here. Here's the water. Here's where all the dead people are going to be. That's what's left. All said and done, they end up demolishing this little piece. And then here is paleo. That's the word. It means ancient. Landslide. So there's also a fault here. So who knows what's going on. If there was an earthquake at the same time, if just the weight of the dam and the water seepage, it was like the perfect storm that took out this dam. San Francisquito. Okay, so the guy that Mulholland was like in cahoots with, that had the idea to take the water from the Owens Valley, and he, when they were making the deals, he decided that he was gonna like make a backdoor deal, and he bought some of this really, really good land. And when it came time for the city of LA to buy it, he wanted to sell it and make a profit. And Mulholland was like, dude, what the fuck? And he was like, sorry, dude. And so Mulholland was like, I ain't buying your land. So they just went around it. I don't know if that would have mattered in the grand scheme of things. Had they gone through the Long Valley, they would have maybe put a different dam somewhere else. I don't know. Eventually, they will dam that area. They will buy that land from that guy. That guy died a year before this wild water thief dude, and they end up using that land and putting a dam there for the, like, there's this guy called Father Crowley. He is, let me find his photo. Well, I don't have his photo, but he was around a long time ago. So, have you guys ever heard of this thing called geocaching? Because back in 2010, I started geocaching because I hurt myself and I couldn't do a lot. And one of the places off the side of the road, it took us to this cross. And I had seen this cross before because I've been on this road a billion times. There's only 2 ways in and out of my tiny little town. My town's probably in this picture. It's a tiny little, see that shadow? That's probably where I live. But so we stopped one day and there was a geocache here. We found it and they told us a story about Father Crowley. You guys geocache? Oh, that's dope. So Father Crowley, it's also from Ireland. He's not an asshole like the water thief guy, Mulholland, but he comes to America. He goes to seminary, and when he comes to LA, they offer him basically this desert parish, which is Barstow, Kern County, Inyo County, the whole Owens area, the whole Owens Lake area, all of this. The area that he's in charge of is as big as Ireland. But he likes it. He's got a Model T Ford, and the reason that they put that cross there is to commemorate him, because the road that you see in this picture is actually Highway 14 now. And it connects, if you've ever been to Los Angeles or Mammoth Mountain, if you've driven from to or fro, you have driven on this road. But Father Crowley did it in his first 16 months of him being the pastor or whatever. He says they put 50,000 miles on his Model T, and that eventually he took out every seat except for the driver's seat and put a sleeping bag in the back so he could save money. not at a hotel because he's driving so much. He was, I'm sure others have done it now, but was the first pastor. I don't know what to call him because he's called the father. I don't want to call him the first father because it makes me feel weird, but he's the first guy with the thing this is Mount Whitney, to summit Mount Whitney, which is the highest elevation in the continental U.S. And do a service there. He did a church service up here. Also, though, so when they dammed the Long Valley, the land that was also stolen and eventually sold back to the city, when they dammed that, the lake that created is called Lake Crowley, after Father Crowley. He was super, super cool. His big thing was after the water was taken, so he ends up moving on. He's only in the area for like not that long. He goes somewhere else, starts some other shit in California. When he comes back through, he sees all the damage that the stolen water has done, mostly to tourism. And so he's like, it's his mission to try to get people to appreciate the area. There's everything: fishing, skiing, hunting, stargazing. It's so beautiful out here, but it's also really dry. So it was kind of hard to sell that to people. But what he did, I'm going to read you a story. Mr. Crowley, it's this guy. Do I have a better picture of him? I wish I did. Okay. Listen to this. This story is freaking silly. I love it. It says, as part of his ongoing efforts to publicize the Eastern Sierra as an ideal tourist location, Father Crowley organized an extravaganza in October 1937. The 3-day celebration, entitled The Wedding of the Waters, commemorated the completion of a paved road from Death Valley to Whitney Portal, linking the lowest spot in the country to the highest. In a clever publicity move, Father Crowley filled a desert gourd with water from the highest lake in the country. The gourd was carried by a Native American, then transported on horseback by one of the first men to climb Mount Whitney. Next, it was taken in stagecoach, driven by the descendant of an original stagecoach hand who was accompanied by the governor of California. The gourd was passed along to a covered wagon driver who was a descendant of the ill-fated Donner Party, and then handed over to the engineer of the narrow gauge railroad. After a short run on the rails, the gourd was passed to the driver of a new 1938 Lincoln Zephyr. At the end of this ride, President Roosevelt pressed a telegraph key that sent word of the celebration to the rest of the country. The Zephyr driver passed the gourd to a World War I combat pilot who flew to Death Valley, where the gourd was emptied into Badwater Sink, the lowest body of water in America. The Wedding of the Waters was featured in papers across the nation, bringing the publicity Father Crowley had sought. Recently, the public broadcasting company Los Angeles affiliate sponsored reenactment of the ceremony. The widow of Hopalong Cassidy was president of the activities. This kind of shit makes me want to cry because I'm so proud of people who do big shit. I love it. It's my favorite. So that's Father Crowley. And they named the lake after him. So some Irish asshole stole all the water, and then Father Crowley made it not so shitty. And that is literally 49 minutes and all I had to say tonight. The end. I got to get the chat because somebody said poor Div did all this research and chat is shitting on it, but I doubt it. I doubt I'm going to be able to catch up here. Bait. Fun fact, the USS Mount Whitney is the flagship of 6th Fleet. That's cool. I didn't know there was a boat named after it. Crowley was from England. Crowley was from Ireland. Is that the same thing? Thank you, Daniel. Thanks for showing up, guys. There were a couple things that I thought were interesting on Twitter today, but Nothing is saved. I don't really feel like going to Twitter to, like, look it up. So, hopefully you guys gathered the fact that Mulholland stole the water with his homie. It's never gonna be enough. What else? What else is there to know? Mulholland stole the water. It's never gonna be enough. That's it. That's basically the moral of the story. Don't steal the water, y'all. Or no, oh, okay, wait. The moral, sorry. Okay, there's a better moral. Moral story is visit the Eastern Sierra Nevadas, and when you come to California, and don't go to LA. First of all, Los Angeles is trash. It's dirty and ugly, and there are very few places that are really worth visiting in reality. NorCal is probably where it's at, but there's a lot of fucking homeless people up there. They're nice, but there's a lot of them. So just don't go anywhere. Just go to the Sierra Nevadas and drink the yummy water. Actually, the Arrowhead bottling facility is right here at this spot. It's funny though, because in the commercials, I should do a reenactment, because in the commercials they're like, they do a flyover of their facility and like the mountains in the area and shit, and it is not the mountains in the area and shit. I'm like, you're literally at the foot of Sierra Nevadas. You'd think you just use real footage, but no. I think they put trees and stuff in it to make it not look like where it's at. Oh, I love you guys too. I might be there in 2024. Oh, what's happening here in 2024 that you might show up? What about the hiking trails, though? I mean, the Pacific Crest Trail is like here. Start and go. I wouldn't know anything about it. I'm not a hiker. I could find something, though. Let's look. Hiking. Hiking. Yeah, I'm not even sure. I think I don't care about hiking. I'm not gonna lie. My sister's like super into this kind of shit, and I go to her house for vacation. She's like, "Oh my god, you want to take a 6-mile hike?" I'm like, "What the fuck? No." She's like, "It's 6 miles like round trip." I'm like, huh, "Okay." I was hoping it was 6 miles round trip, but I don't want to do it. I'll sit in the car, and you can come back and tell me all about it. Like with costumes. Wait, what's happening? Sorry, did someone say energy bumps earlier? And so I did some energy bumps. What is that? You know what I did earlier? Well, I was muted for the first 1 minute of the show. Darthy Diaz saved me, but then you fuckers scared him off. But somehow I managed to have 2 rock stars today, and I brought my rock star in here and I set it down, and I was out there. I was like, "Oh, my rock star," and I came in here. I was like, "Uh-oh, I don't know if they're both from today. They're both cold." I feel like this was the one I was drinking. They both look like the one I was drinking. Ugh. So I switched to coffee because I don't know. California was my favorite state to leave. Where did you go when you went to California? That's a lot of Rockstar. Yeah, that's a lot. Energy bumps is what I call cocaine. Oh, my Lanta. I think it could have been me, but I think it was all you guys. You're saying ship? Are you really correcting me because I said boat? I'm pretty sure a ship is a boat. Google it if I have to, but I'm pretty sure. You guys, I'm so glad you had fun with each other in chat. I'm sorry that I couldn't have been there for that. But if I would have fucked with you, I would have never got through this damn thing. I would have called it a bridge for the rest of the night. There are some interesting things that I found out. I just can't really remember any of them. You guys know that every time I cook spaghetti, I cooked spaghetti like 2 nights ago. And the noodles are like 10 minutes and then they're done. I'm like, okay. And I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. And I think that they're done. And I pull out the noodle and I throw it onto the cupboard and it doesn't stick. And it wouldn't even matter if it's stuck because I don't know if sticking means done or not. So I always have to throw it at the and then eat it and see if it's done. But I always do the throwing part for tradition. I kind of hate that I Googled hiking in Yeo County because now I'm going to have hiking propaganda. I don't want it. Don't tell me where to hike. I won't go. Yeah, I think I shared with you guys everything. We make our own fun. She doesn't look like she eats carbs. What if a spider or other bug found its way into that open can that you do not know how long it's been there? I'm going to fucking look for him. Why would you say that? What's the matter with you? I wish you could tell. How do you know if something's old or not? What if he's hiding right over under the lid? I hate you, Cool Frog. I hope nobody comes to your show tonight. Just kidding. That's messed up. I'm still gonna drink that spider. She cooks noodles. Doesn't mean she eats them. Yeah, I also eat them. I do. Yeah, I'm not very Italian. Listen, I bet real Italians don't have to throw their pasta against the cupboards. Cooks them and are you guys talking about me? I'm right here. I see you guys. All right, I guess I'm gonna go. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight, chat. I'm gonna turn this off and remember that I forgot something important about Mulholland. I asked AI explicitly, I said, make a sign, a man standing in water with graves all around, under a sign that says Mulholland, that reads Mulholland. It nailed every single bit of that except for the word Mulholland. I'm like, I fucking told you how to spell it. I don't know what's with the AI. I told the AI one time, make me a picture of Barbie dolls in a bird cage in front of the Hollywood Hills, in front of the Hollywood sign. I think that's what it was. And it nailed every single thing. But the Hollywood sign didn't say that. I'm like, it was so close. Everything about it's like it looked at the Hollywood sign. It found every Hollywood sign it could think of. And it was like, my fuck your request. I'm going to make it say something not at all English. I kind of appreciate the AI for that, but I also am like, fuck, really? How did you know it was white and on the side of the hill and constructed this way? You couldn't make out the letters. Anyways, all right. Night, guys. We'll see you over at Cool Frogs in 30 minutes. Adios.